These two were some of the best actors I've worked with on this film.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I mean, everyone was awesome, but...
Hey guys, my name is Robbie. I play Juggy in the movie Monster.
Hey everyone, my name is Ivon and I play as Gary.
So today we're going to be answering some questions you guys had to ask for us. There's a couple. I'll start. Okay, what helped you get into character?
What helped me get into character? Flipping chairs during rehearsals, heartbreaks. I just turned like the whole like sadness I got from the heartbreaks into just anger, and it was more of a physical involvement with myself to get into character.
I just had to be alone before we used to film the scenes. I didn't do any of that. I just would isolate myself, get into my character, and just that. I would never flip a chair. Okay. What was your hardest scene?
Probably, I can't spoil anything.
I know which one it is.
I think we know which one it is.
I think I know which one it is.
It's the same one as me. I know.
Let's just say, the whole film was hard for me to do because that wasn't me. I had to literally tap into a different type of energy source just to create this character. Like,
actually, no. I don't think our scenes. I don't think the one you're thinking about is the same one as me.
You probably think about something, but don't say it because he's watching.
I would say I'm gonna just roundabout answers because I won't spoil it. But my hardest scene, now that I actually really think about it, was, let's just say, the first part of the movie, the younger versions of myself, Inder's character and Ivan's character. I'm not gonna say much more. It involved just us three in that scene. You'll know when you see it. That was the toughest thing because I've seen things like that happen in real life. I've heard of young kids. That whatever, I'm not going to spoil it, happening to kids. That was tough. And then there's a great actor, so he made it very hard to actually keep going with that scene because he was full on in it, and it was just, I had to play a character. It wasn't me, but it was very tough. That was by far the toughest scene I had to film.
What did you take away from your experience working on this film?
You skipped a question.
What's your most memorable day on set?
Most memorable day on set? That's another good one.
I think I know.
Go ahead.
When Inderveer said action. Action! I was like, ready! What way was?
That was so quick.
But which time did I say action?
No, when he said action. Like the way Inderveer said action, man, just, I like tapped into Gary right away. You know what I mean? Like, we're living the dream right here.
It's channeling my inner Bansali.
Yeah, inner Bansali.
Which day was the most memorable for you?
Mine was when I was driving in the car with you, man. When the camera was on us.
Okay, I'll tell you. So remember that scene I was talking about a second ago that was also the hardest scene? That was probably the most memorable day as well because I don't think this is going to be in the movie. It might, I don't know, myself. I had to... I can't spoil it.
You have to let yourself loose.
So that we had to fake, 100% fake. It was tea. It was like green tea. We had to make fake coffee joints. Not real weed at all. It was tea. And I had to actually light it, and first of all, the tea was spilling everywhere in my car out of the paper that the set guy made. Amr made them, right? It's nasty. It was so bad. I was spitting every time I took up. I had to like puff it, like pretend to puff it. I tried passing it to him in the scene. He's like, "No, bro, you have it." Like he's full on in character.
Like even Gary said,
it was nasty. It tastes. Can I swear? It tastes like shit. It was so bad. It was so gross. That was probably memorable, right?
That's the most memorable.
Most memorable because I couldn't get that taste out of my mouth for like a solid day. It was so bad, and he never smoked any of it.
I was like, you know what?
It was tea, by the way. That was nasty.
You're up next.
What did you take away from your experience working on this film?
Just to be mindful. You know what I mean? Like be open to every type of role you get. Like keep discovering more about the role. Like just don't be like, okay, my character's here, I'm ready. Just tell yourself that there's more work to do, right? Like that's what I got out of this.
For me, my experience would be because I've never been challenged to play a character so different from myself. Now I know that I can experiment with the characters I play as an actor, like in the future, like which I know I picked up my own personal techniques of how I fall into character, how I develop a character. So I would say that's one of the most like best gifts I got out of this film is like now I can take this on further into other roles and I know what I'm doing.
So how did we guys meet and how did you guys become part of this project?
How did you become part of the project?
It's been such a long time.
You were first.
More than a year, yeah.
I met Inderveer at a friend's birthday party and then he pitched me the idea and I was like, dude, why do you want me to
We were talking about Sanjay Leela Bansali and Padmavati and acting and film, and that's how I learned he was such a film fanatic and you know, and then But here's the thing, right? Ivan is nothing like his character at all. That's why I wasn't sold when I met him at the birthday party. And then he goes home and he sends me a 30-second clip of him just a guy that I did not meet, and I was sold that this is my gear.
Yeah, like my dad's literally yelling at me in the background saying, "Who the hell are you swearing?" He's like, "Why?"
And the funny thing is, his mom was recording that audition.
My mom, yeah, despite the swear words in it.
Damn. And then how did I join the project? So after that all happened, Ivan and I were actually at some after party for a fashion show we both did. That's actually the fashion show we met at last year. Then we were just talking. He was telling me about this whole movie that he landed a role, and I was really interested. And he told me a little bit about the story at that point. I really liked it, and then Ivan kind of got me and Inder in touch. Inder actually called me when I was at the gym. I stopped working out for Inder for his phone call. I didn't know the guy. I picked up the phone. I talked to Inder, and he literally in like 2 minutes he pitched me the character on the phone. We talked about it, and that was pretty much it. Like I was sold. I really liked the character. And one thing that really did help, because like I said, I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know Inder. I knew Ivan. Obviously, we're best buddies in real life. And the fact that my character and his character would be best buddies on film, that kind of made me more like lenient to like join the project, because it was like working with Ivan's awesome. And now, like, since I know everybody, it was awesome. It was a great project.
These two were some of the best actors I've worked with on this film.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I mean, everyone was awesome, but it's so cool that when, like, you know how you guys have that chemistry in real life, and even though you guys are playing different characters, it's that chemistry still shows on screen really, really well. Yeah, thank you guys. Like, hey, do you want to go hang out? Or are you a model?
Yeah, and then one of them was like, I was beefing someone actually.
He's beefing someone, and he's saying that.
Hey guys, my name is Shaun Gill, and I will be playing Sukhi in the movie Monster, and today I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. Oh, how did I get into character for this movie? Well, Sukhi was the way Sukhi was, the way I was told about Sukhi, like, about the character, instant fuckboy, likes to follow people around. He wasn't like his own man, right? And so getting into character for Sukhi, it took a while actually. We did 6-7 months of training, like every day. No, not every day. Every Thursday at SFU, room 3190.
I think that
was it 3190?
I think so.
Okay, but that was where the magic happened actually, because
It was 3190.
yeah, because the dark life kind of was difficult, right? Because at the end of the day, there was more to Sukhi than just being a fuckboy, right? Because Sukhi had his own life. Sukhi had mom, his dad who loved him, right? Sukhi had his siblings, his friends and family, and besides of just being a fuckboy, like, he had life in him, right? He was raised in a good, proper family where he was taught love. He was shown, realism, right? And being with the crew that does bad things and has guns and, right, and just fucks around it was kind of finding the middle in that, right? And that's where I found it was really difficult, because at the end of the day, Sukhi doesn't really like being involved in all this stuff. He just does it because he wants to fit in, right? And finding that middle ground for that was the most difficult part of being Sukhi. Hardest scene to perform. Oh, this one. It was with Simran, Harleen. You guys will see Harleen. That was a hard scene to perform, because it was building that chemistry with Harleen inside that scene. Because I have like the hardest time talking to girls in real life too, right? And
I don't believe that.
you see, everyone says they don't believe that, but I get nervous inside, right? And building that chemistry with Harleen it took a while actually. It took like 6-7 months too, but we rehearsed that scene so many times, and we approached it through like different angles, and we kind of found a middle in that. And it was just being present in the moment with Harleen at that time. That was the most difficult part, because I would get nervous inside, and I don't know, just making that full eye contact and being present with Harleen. It was so, at the end of the day, that scene was super real. And that's what we got, that's what we wanted, right? Most memorable day on set. I know the last day, like the club scene, I had a final exam the next day. That was pretty rowdy. But the most memorable day, I'd say, would be the first day. The first day of shooting. That was, because it was like we all came in to Inder's house. got our makeup done by like this dope makeup artist, and we were sitting down in our costume. Like it was the day, you know. Like I had my Sukhi shirt on, my jeans, my shoes, and I felt like Sukhi. Like 100%, I was Sukhi, and I had Melvin there, Arnie, Inder, and just the first day was the best. Okay, because we were wearing our clothes, and I felt like I was in character. And the second we got into that car for the first car scene, ooh, like running those lines, it was so smooth. Like we were all so present inside that car. It legitimately felt like it was going down, and that like those moments no one can take away from you, because it's like we worked so hard. Like continuous work and effort was put into that scene. Where the day when we shot it in what, like 3 takes, right? Like it was smooth as butter, and I loved it.
What inspired you about the film?
What inspired me about the film? Well, I was actually in Toronto when Inderveer called me. I was on vacation, and
Or what's up?
literally on WhatsApp, right? And I was sitting in Toronto, Mississauga, and with my family, and I get this text, and he was like, Inder, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go downstairs, I have to deal with this, right? I call this guy, and he explains me this movie, like the whole project, and how it's about gang violence, and like the full-on message, and it touched me, right? In a way, where it was like, hey, like, bet, let's do this, right? I was like, I'm down to audition for this, and he told me about my character Sukhi, and I'm gonna be real with you guys, I was a little iffy about it, because I was like, playing fuckboy, and it was a challenge, right? But I was like, hey, let's do it, right? I was like, I have nothing to lose, like, it's a new challenge, and let's get it, right? And so he sends me over, like, what he wanted me to audition for.
A little monologue.
Little monologue, right? And I'm sitting downstairs in my cousin's house, and I'm going through this monologue, and I'm just thinking, like, how Inder explained me it, I'm putting the pieces together, I'm building my character, and it was from there where it was like, I remember I put the camera up, and I recorded myself, and I nailed it, and like, I probably took that take like 15, 16 times, because it was like, I didn't know what he wanted, right? And I didn't know what he wanted, but I didn't know what Sukhi was at that time, so I sent him 3 different versions of it, and that's where we got Sukhi.
Yeah, he sent me. I think I remember you'd sent me something.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is good, but I just wanted something a little bit different. I think I said make it slightly more creepy.
Yeah.
And then he sent me another one, and he nailed it. And I was like, yo, this is my Sukhi. And the monologue was you talking to Harleen's character.
It was.
No, one of them was him talking to Harleen's character to asking her, like, hey, do you want to go hang out? Or are you a model?
Yeah, and then one of them was like, I was beefing someone actually.
He's beefing someone, and he's saying that, what's wrong with me being a fuckboy, you know? Like,
yeah, it was something
I
like
got
that.
hit up with the way you did it was so, like, I was watching it feeling like, you know, like, I can't watch this, like, this guy's just putting me off, and that's how I was like, well, he's got it, you know?
Yeah, but what inspired me was when we had that phone conversation, and he explained me what this movie was about, right? Like gang violence, and living in Surrey and growing up in Surrey, and seeing like close friends like passing away because of gang violence, and seeing people like change up, right? Because everyone comes from a good family at the end of the day, right? And it's just seeing the evolution and people change, like your close homies who switch up on you, right? And it's like, why? And that's what this movie kind of targeted, and it touched me in such an inspiring way. It was like, I'm doing it, right?
I really gotta say with Shaun's character Sukhi, and how it's one of the main characters, one of I think 6 or 7 main characters in the film. Even though his storyline is not the main point, I want to say you did such a good job by making him such a full character and such a well-developed character, and I think that's something that is really hard to do, and that was awesome.
Thanks.
So thank you.
I appreciate that.
I think we got it, boys. We had our own crew, so we had a script supervisor who was wearing a monster shirt, put on a jacket, and just get in the scene and start dancing.
Hey guys, I'm Aman Bassi. I'm the DOP of Monster, and I'm going to be answering some of your guys' questions. The first question, what equipment did you use to shoot this movie? We used the GH5 and the Rockman lenses and a gimbal. That's pretty much it. And we didn't use much lighting. We used all the natural lighting we could get. and we used some LED lights for the car scenes. You guys will see that in the film. That's why I kept it really simple, and it worked out great. What's the most inspiring part of your job as a DOP? The most inspiring part about my job is visualizing something and then actually creating it. Like like thinking of a shot and then actually making it into a reality, and then actually looking at it and it's like, wow, this did not exist before I shot it. Like, wow, right? That's the best part about my job. What was your most memorable day on set? It would have to be the last day of shooting, the last scene. That was the hardest scene to shoot because they had to look and feel in a certain way, and I was kind of nervous shooting that, but it turned out just the way we shot it. It turned out amazing. When you guys watch the film, you guys will feel cramped up in that scene, how I felt while I was shooting it. It was something. Like, I can't wait for you guys to see that. What advice would you give other aspiring DOPs? The advice I would give you is that focus on your craft. Don't worry about getting the best cameras out there. Don't worry about getting the best equipment. Because as long as you know what you're doing, you know how you're doing it, you know your lighting, you know your settings, you know how you want to shoot it, you know your shots, the best equipment doesn't matter. It matters what you can do with whatever you have, right? Because that's how I started off. I didn't have the nicest cameras in the world. I didn't have the nicest lenses. I just started off with the Canon camera, and I started, shooting. And then you just build yourself up, and you just go on, and you eventually get there where you're able to use the nice equipment. But it's mostly about how you think and how you want to shoot. It's mostly about what kind of vision you're trying to portray on screen.
What was the hardest scene to shoot?
The hardest, it would have to be the scenes in the car, just because of the space and just the way the car was moving, and having all the characters in the car, and then me having to switch positions with each character, and then making the camera feel like it's from that character's point of view. Those were the hardest because of the space and stuff, but we made it work. And
yeah, I think Aman did an amazing job, because when you watch the film, I really wanted to capture that feeling of that you're in the car with the characters every time there were scenes in the car. And so we really got point of views of different characters or being congested, and just because I feel like whatever she felt shooting is how the audience feels. If she felt claustrophobic shooting it, that's how it makes you feel watching the scene. I have to say that working with you, and the hardest scene for me was probably, just on a technical level, was probably the scene in the club where we were supposed to have 40 extra show up, and only 10 show up and 30 cancel, and we had a lot of pizza boxes left over. So she switched onto was it 85 millimeter? 85 millimeter lens, and we had 10 people, and we used some, walking tricks, and it looks like it was packed. And we had like these disco lights, and
we give it that real club vibe.
When you guys watch it, you guys will think that club was packed. And every time I show someone, they don't believe that we only had 10 people there. Yeah. We had our own crew, so we had a script supervisor who was wearing a Monster shirt, put on a jacket, and just get in the scene and start dancing. We had our art director who was playing the bartender and the waiter at the same time, but you couldn't tell.
It was crazy.
How was the experience shooting Monster?
It was an interesting experience because at first when Inder approached me with it, I really liked the script, and I was like, yo, I want to work on this movie. It has a good message. And then we sat down and made a shot list and everything. And I was like, yo, this is going to be
Which you got lost on set.
Yeah, we lost that. We made it. It was in my head, but we that's all good. And then I was like, yo, how am I going to do this? 6 days? How are we going to do this? But everyone was so on point with their time and everything. The crew was amazing. The cast was amazing. So everybody was doing their job. So that way I was just able to, quickly shoot. It was to the point where we weren't taking any breaks. We were just moving from one scene to another scene, one shot to another shot. And I was just rushing through it. It looked like I was rushing through it. And Inder trusted me to get the shots he wanted, and I hopefully got them. And yeah, so that was that. It was just the time frame. I was like, how are we gonna do this in 6 days? And we did it, and we have more than enough footage.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I think if I did the math, we had 26 hours of footage.
In 6 days and non-stop shooting.
13, 14-hour days.
Yeah, it was just.
I had a
it's
panic
like
attack every morning we woke. We were shooting.
Yeah, it was crazy, and all
Yeah.
the set changes, like character changes, like young Inderveer, older,
Yeah.
young Harman, older Harman.
Yeah.
It was just crazy, and working with a lot of different actors, getting their energy and trying to put them in the scene, making them feel important in the scene, and it was just crazy, and it worked out, and
Yeah.
we pulled it off.
I have to say, Aman is one of the most efficient people to ever I've worked with, because it's just, and the quality doesn't go down with Aman. It's like we were shooting and then we go on to the next one and problem solve. You know, I never heard once from Aman like, yo, we can't get this shot because we don't have this. You know, we're missing 30 people. We can't get the shot. But we got the shot.
No, you always gotta deal with it. That's as a DOP. You gotta make it happen. Like if you don't have a certain equipment or anything, you gotta like think on the spot. You gotta
Problem
I
solving
gotta
is the
do it.
biggest thing, right? Yeah.
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 You gotta just solve it. You can't just let it stand in front of you because you can't waste time. You just gotta make a movie. Right? You gotta make a movie. So make a movie.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I haven't called cut, right? You just still do the scene.
Yeah.
And Artie's like bent over to the guy.
Hey, I'm Melvin Medici. I'm playing Naked Monster, and today I'll be answering your questions. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, so I'm very blessed to have done it, and kind of made that switch, and just being able to showcase that I can go back and forth from comedic to dramatic, because I felt like it kind of set the tone that, okay, Melvin Medici isn't just a comedic individual in Surrey, but he can also shoot for dramatic roles, and he can do something out of the box. Yeah, it wasn't a hard switch, I guess, but obviously it needed more training on my end, and more of getting used to it, because I don't do it on a weekly basis like how I do with my Instagram content. You know, my Instagram content's always comedic. So shooting for something more dramatic obviously took and needed more training and time. And, you know, good things come with commitment and time, and I'm proud to say that I think I did well. Most memorable day from set was probably the club scene, because it was overnight, right? I felt like a pro, you know, shooting overnight, doing a little night shoot. Just being in that atmosphere and being with people that I've been training with for all these months, and putting the pieces together, and you know, just letting it all out, you know, and finally showcasing that what we've been training for in the past 6 months wasn't just for nothing, you know, like there was a plan to it, you know, and I felt like we executed that scene really nicely that evening. Memorable. It was fun, even though it was super long. I felt like a pro, like I said. The hardest scene in the movie for me was the bathroom scene with Hina, who plays Priya, because it was hard to kind of transition to thinking, okay, she's just like a friend, and then 2 seconds later, oh, I gotta treat her like a girlfriend, and kind of like, you know, pretend and do things that like a couple does, and it was totally out of my comfort zone, because I've never really done something like that on camera, to really be in character and be in someone else's footsteps and have a on-screen girlfriend. So it was really out of my comfort zone, really out of the box. So another scene that I felt that was hard on my end was another club scene where someone was getting beat up in the washroom, and it was in the script. It was scripted out. We practiced it for months, but Inderveer had another vision and wanted me to kind of prevent everyone from coming in the washroom afterwards, because everyone was coming in the washroom with their cameras out, trying to, you know, Snapchat what happened in the washroom, and I really had to let out my emotions and defend, you know, my ground and stand up for myself, because I'm like, yo, why are these guys coming in the washroom and, you know, invading our privacy and, you know, putting this on social media, what had just happened. You know, it wasn't right, and I had to fully let my emotion out and connect to the character who got beat up in that sense. That was hard, man. Improvision's hard. Expect the unexpected, man. It's not a regular gangster flick, like, you know, like I've been told, man, this film is really different from other gangster flicks because it's not really about the violence aspect of it and what goes on, like what you see in the news. It's getting it and seeing it on a deeper level and seeing, oh, why are these kids, why are these adults like this? What shaped them to be a gangster? What drove them to choose this path of life? Like it digs deeper into that aspect rather than just seeing the top layer of everything. You know, you also see, you know, the reasoning behind why this has happened. So expect to see this on a more intimate level. You know, gangsters on a more intimate level, I say.
What was the funniest thing that happened on set?
Holy crap. Funniest
I know a few things that I've been
Funniest
looking in the edit room.
Okay, yeah. Okay, we shot the car scene many times. And when Inderveer was showing me the clips, there was one take where I don't know what happened to me. I think I was just in the zone. I was in my character. I was in Nick's mindset, and you know, I was just having too much fun in the backseat, and I slapped Shaun's leg really hard, and like you could hear him like cuss me out in the background. I'm like, yo, I'm sorry.
He held
man.
it in until the take was over.
Yeah,
And then he's like, Melvin, I'm gonna kill you after it was over.
I slapped it like 3/4 into the take, like super hard. You just hear like a gunshot or something.
It was so loud. Right on the thigh.
And then once Inderveer yelled cut, that's when he like lashed out on me. But the camera was still rolling, which was funny, so it took all of that.
I think the funniest thing I saw that happened on set was, I won't mention who you guys were doing it to, but it's a scene where you and Arnie, you guys are jumping someone in the driveway. And
yeah.
they're supposed to be punching and beating up the guy that's on the ground. And for some reason, and so Melvin and Arnie are like this, their backs toward the camera, and for some reason...
Battery exhausted.
Oh, damn.
And they're supposed to be punching this guy, and for some reason the last punch, I haven't called cut, right? You guys still do the scene.
Yeah.
And Arnie's like bent over, punching the guy, and you, for some reason, I don't know if you missed, but you smacked Arnie right in the butt. Right? And Arnie didn't flinch at all.
Didn't flinch, man.
Didn't flinch at all. He was so method.
Hey, man. I think I was in the zone, like I was saying, man. I was.
I mean, you didn't even flinch. Like, I feel like no one knew that actually happened until I went and saw it in the edit
Until you
room.
saw it in the edit room.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Hey, man.
When you're beating up the character in his driveway, one more thing was like, I never seen you be so aggressive though.
Uh-huh.
Like I never imagined, and the way you went into it, like shut up, and you just went into it. I thought it was a really good scene.
Thank you, man. It was yeah. I loved it. I loved it too.
Thank
It
you.
was hard to get in that zone, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you, bro.
No, I'm so tilted. It's just
No, but it's on the camera. It's fine. Is it you? Is it fine though?
Yeah, you're
You
fine.
sure it's not tilted?
Hi guys, my name is Sawtanter and I played Harman in the role of the movie of Monster. Hi, I'm Mahi and I play character Puneet, and today we're going to be answering your questions.
What's the hardest thing about acting in a movie?
I would say that the hardest thing would be memorizing the lines because you could forget them at any time. Yeah, and the acting part's hard too.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
That's true. That is true.
What was your favorite scene together?
The one that we were crazy kids and then we were literally under a tree. We were playing soccer in the rain. It was freezing cold. I can't even explain how
That was
cold.
my favorite too, because you were playing soccer and
What
I like
we-
soccer too.
Yeah, and that one funny thing that happened, I fell into mud and then I got completely soaked. It was so cold.
Yeah, who needs to go to Splashdown? Just make a movie.
What do you want people to take away from this movie
So what do you want people to learn from this movie after they watch
when
it?
they watch it? Yeah.
Not to take drugs.
Oh yes,
And not to bully.
The future's bright, guys.
that is. I like
And not
that.
to swear as well.
Always remember those.
Oh yeah,
words.
then we shouldn't swear, even though the movie has swearing in it.
You should.
Don't do it.
We're gonna play this video at their drag class.
Tell us more about your characters.
My character's like not the cool boy, but not the like a nerd, but he's like in the middle. He has like only one friend, but now like nerds they don't have any friends. That's bad. But like, and we're kind of a nerd, but then we're not because we still have friends.
But I'm usually making fun of him because he's a little scaredy cat.
Isn't there another thing you make fun of Harman for?
He likes a girl and he's scared that if he sees he likes her, she's gonna get mad at him.
And then
classic.
She's probably gonna tell the whole school.
Everybody.
Yeah, because she's like a
Make
gopher.
fun of him.
And what's the girl's name again?
Muskan.
I completely forgot.
Oh, see, this is why she's gonna get mad at you.
Forgot who you like. How's that possible? That's awesome. But how was it like working with Inder? That guy right there.
It was okay. I don't know. I can't explain it, but then it was like fun, but also kind of weird as well because I don't know. I can't explain this. Like it was kind of weird. It's only because like I don't know why. I felt
Basically, he's saying Inder sucked.
Nah, it was better because he felt comfortable because he's not really old and he had
Yeah.
just
Remember these days. Remember these days.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's one weird thing that was quite awkward because I've never seen some other person come to some a kid and be like, "You're gonna be in my movie."
I think it was fun working with Inder.
Yeah, but it was fun as well. But it was cause
Good save.
But
Good
one-
save.
I'm Inderveer, the writer and director, and I have a question for you. What was it like playing the younger version of my character in the film? We both play Harman, by the way.
Well, it was quite. I can't explain, but it was. I felt good doing their character. Like when he was fun, like good. He didn't do any drugs. He didn't swear. He didn't. He like.
Wait,
he
in the
was
movie or in real life?
In the movie,
Oh, okay.
like. Like, yeah. So that when he never did all that stuff, he did it when he was his older version.
Okay, so you liked that when Harman was younger, he was more innocent?
Yeah,
Yeah. So how was it like working with me?
it was great.
Yeah, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you did an amazing job playing the younger version of me, which is why I feel like my job was a little bit hard because I kind of had to imagine and try to emulate how he would act when he was 10 years older. Because I play Harman when he's 18 and then I play him when he's 20. And you play Harman when he's 10 years old, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was it working with me?
It was quite fun. Only because that I got a name with Mahi soccer, and only because that he would help. We got to do like so many fun things to do. Like yeah, so we got to play in the rain for once. That my mom
His
would
parents
never do.
never let him play in the rain.
So it was quite fun for
Right?
one. Yeah.
Yeah. So who's your favorite director?
You.
It's really? Oh, I have no idea. Done so far. Just logistically create. There you go. Bye guys. Hey guys, my name is Inderveer Sodhi. I'm the writer, director, and composer of Monster, and I also play Harman in the movie. And today I'll be answering your questions. So first question: what inspired you to make this movie? I would say my relationship with my mom. It was definitely the biggest sort of seed of why I wanted to make this film. It was capturing that that sort of innocence and growth of a relationship that I think people have with their mother, more specifically sons have with their mothers. And then I think the backdrop of gang violence in the story was a really cool way to kind of tell that story and illustrate those like deeper nuances of gang violence and my personal opinion on I think why the issue has grown so much in the last few years. And specifically focusing on gang violence in the last 5 or 6 years, so not gang violence in Surrey from the 90s. And I wanted to make it like a coming of age drama so that it doesn't feel like a gangster drama, that it's a coming of age story that happens to be on the backdrop of gang violence in British Columbia. Why aren't you singing on the Monster album? So I am singing on the Monster album. My voice is scattered all throughout the songs and here and there like Easter eggs, but I didn't primarily sing any of the songs. And there's two main reasons for that. One of them being that I did not want the listener to hear Harman's voice in any of the songs, because Harman is such a nuanced character and very, I can say, different from me on the surface level, and I feel like I wanted, so that's the first reason. The second being that because the music was so focused on being in the style of Punjabi folk, mixed with hip hop and some trap elements, it was really crucial to get really authentic folk singers for that, and have them illustrate the tone and the sounds around Harman when you see the film. But I've left those little Easter eggs in my voice in some of the songs so that you kind of have that bit of connectivity with the character. How did you shoot a movie in 6 days? We didn't want to shoot the movie in 6 days, but we had no choice. So it's because of the limited budget, as well as it's very difficult to keep people together for such a very long time, because it's been a year for some of the people and maybe about 6 or 7 months for some other people who joined late in the project, and keep everyone through rehearsals. And it was just, mainly budget, but just a matter of just getting the film done till the end. The hardest thing is starting, and the second hardest thing is finishing the film. But it was done in combination with everyone's efforts, working together very tightly and having a very tight-knit schedule as well. And then, which we worked with, so we were shooting the film 13 to 14 hours a day, every day. I don't think anyone was getting any sleep, especially not me. I'm in my DOP, and some of the more crucial crew members were part of the production, assisting me on set. What was the most difficult scene to shoot? By far, it has to be the last scene in the film. I remember we did the first 2 takes. I just stopped right away, and I kind of choked up while doing it. I can't spoil what the scene is, but I think you'll really, really enjoy it when you watch the film. But when I was doing that scene, I choked up the first 2 times, and I was just like, I just felt like, because the story is so crucial, as I was making the film, like, this for me is a passion project, it's my art. But as I was making the film, I realized how much the story and the idea of this project meant to so many people around me and living in Surrey, that last scene was so important to nail, because I had to do justice to the concept of that scene. I just let myself go completely without any technical instructions. And I think that's the way I was able to do that scene. How hard was it to put together a team and resources to make a movie? I think it was the hardest thing I've done so far. I remember when I worked on my first album, Carnival, I thought that was really hard because how long it took. And as I started the album, I was learning production and everything at the same time. And similarly, I was learning on this film as well as we were going. But it was such a gargantuan task of putting together people from different backgrounds and sort of shifting and aligning everyone's focus towards the vision of the film. Resources, things like that are just like a financial thing, and those can be overcome over time and whatnot. But I think the hardest thing was just putting everyone's focus together and finishing it all the way through, and channeling the best I could out of all the actors especially, and getting the best out of them, and trying to make them unlike their characters as much as I could, so that they really disappear into their characters. Was it difficult to play Harman? Yes and no. No, because being from Surrey, it's not hard to figure out those external nuances. Like, Harman always has this face on him like this, and and he has certain posture, and those things are very easy to put on. The harder thing is to make it believe that that kind of character has those emotions and going through that, because it's very easy to parody someone. Like, it takes me 2 seconds to put on that face, but to make the audience believe that someone who has that posture and body language can go through that narrative and feel those things and emote and feel pain and loved and all those kind of emotions is the hardest part. So yes, on a core level it is, but no, because I'm from Surrey, so I understand those nuances, and at the end of the day, it is a story about a mother and son, so it's very easy for me to relate to that. Is it harder to direct or act? Directing is definitely harder. Directing and acting at the same time is the hardest thing, but between the two, directing is harder, because you're basically trying to work with people from different departments of a film and trying to get them to accomplish the same thing or build something that's gonna eventually accumulate into one bigger vision. Acting, I still say, is really hard, just because the way I like to go about it, I like to go 100% method into it. So, and make sure that when you watch the film, I disappear into it if you don't see me, and do justice to whatever the audience, whatever the story is. What advice would you give someone wanting to get into acting or directing? I say I can give a lot of answers about believing in yourself and all that kind of stuff, but I think the most important thing, at least in this industry, from what I have experienced so far and what I feel, is being able to say no when it's right. It's so easy to always say yes to every opportunity, but I think it's very important to have a certain vision and stay focused. And as I learned from Steve Jobs, my mentor, focus isn't saying yes and saying no to everything else. I can't stress how important that has been for me. Is and that, I guess, comes back to staying true to the kind of stories you want to tell. It's saying no to the things that sometimes might seem appealing but aren't necessarily something that you're inspired by. Because when you're inspired by something, it's even when it gets hard, you persevere because you love it so much. What are you doing after Monster? I'm doing my next feature film called Superhero, which is not even in pre-production yet, but it's in script stage. I don't know if that's pre-production. I don't know my film terminology. But yeah, that's my next project, and I get to play superhero. But thank you so much for your questions.